exaggerating, right? My brother opens the door, my mom keeps driving 18 style, I jump in the car and we pull out. And my mom's like, oh, how did it go? And he told like it went really well. Now, we all can kind of tell by how that went, how the rest of the story went, right? Not so awesome. But it's just that there's these moments in our life where the door of opportunity is open. There's an opportunity for us to go to the next level in our life, in an area of our life. And sometimes we think we're more ready than we really are, and we can find ourselves afraid to take that step, afraid to take advantage of the opportunity, and we shrink back in fear. I mean, sometimes we just shrink back because why? You know, we're afraid of failing. You know, we're afraid that, man, we're going to look stupid. What if I don't have what it takes? We're afraid of being rejected. You know, we're afraid that people will think something different about us. Like, wow, who do you think you are? You know, and we're kind of like that way with God. Let's talk about God for a second. God is not some crazy, you know, philosophical energy force in the universe. He's a person. And getting to know God is like getting to know any person. We can get nervous. And for a lot of us, the idea of getting to know God is both exciting, but it's also nerve-wracking. All right? If I told you tonight that absolutely, beyond a shadow of a doubt, for a fact, if you want to know God, you will meet God personally. Would that excite you? Would that make you bored? Would that make you nervous? How would that make you feel? If I told you that tonight you could meet God personally, like where you walk out of this room going, wow, I met God. I can't deny it. Would that excite you? Would that make you nervous? Does that make you want to run out of this room right now? Okay, don't run. But the thing is that like God, a lot of us have either had a relationship with God and we've been stuck and not known how to take it to the next level. And we're here at San Marcos, we're at Maricosta, we're at Palomar, and we're kind of like, man, do I really want God to be a part of this, or do I want to just leave God behind? For others of us, we've never really thought about God. And the idea of getting to know God makes you nervous, like, oh my gosh, I might have to become some kind of religious fanatic. And just you being in this room is a huge step of courage. And I want to applaud that courage. Because as you'll hear later tonight, I know how you feel. I've been there. I haven't always been a Christian, and I've been in your shoes. All right? Now, I want to share with you guys this amazing verse from the Bible, okay? So if you're not familiar with the Bible, let's warm up with something really amazing. Listen to this. In James chapter 4, okay, in the 8th verse, this guy James, who was a personal friend of Jesus, right? He knew Jesus personally. He wrote these words. Draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. Draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. What the Bible actually says is that we don't have to be like Ryan at the door with that girl, afraid of being rejected, afraid of being judged, afraid of getting some finger pointed at us. We don't have to be afraid of being embarrassed or humiliated or being tricked. That if you take a step towards God, God absolutely, definitively, irrevocably is going to take 3 steps towards you. Listen to what this means. It means you are as close to God as you want to be. That's what that's saying. And for that to be true, it took a miracle on God's part. We're going to talk about what God did to make that possible tonight, okay? But let that sink in. We'll come back to it, okay, at the end. You are as close to God as you want to be. So let me just ask that question at the very outset before we look at this passage in the Bible. How close to God do you want to be? Okay? How close do you want to be? I want us to look at this passage. And tonight we're going to talk about what does it mean to draw near to God. And like I said before, I've been in your shoes for some of you guys where you're like, I don't know God, I don't believe in God, and it's kind of overwhelming. I've been there. And I want to just help you warm up with a story about someone who maybe you can relate to, someone who doesn't consider themselves very religious at all. Maybe the last person anyone would have imagined would have wanted to have a relationship with God. And we're going to look at this story and see if we can learn from this guy's example, okay? In Luke chapter 19, one of Jesus' close friends, Luke, captured this moment in Jesus' life. Chapter 19, it says this. Jesus entered Jericho and passed through. A man was there by the name of Zacchaeus, and he was a chief tax collector, and he was wealthy. He wanted to see who Jesus was, so he waited around at his house for Jesus to come to his door. No. He didn't do that. He didn't just wait around. Watch what he does. It says that he wanted to see who Jesus was, but because he was short, he could not see over the crowd. So he ran ahead. He climbed a sycamore tree to see him since Jesus was coming that way. So he gets kind of crazy, right? Like he actually is like, I'm going to climb like a tree, right? In those days, guys wore like robes and stuff. Think about that for a minute. When Jesus reached the spot, he looked up and he said to him, Zacchaeus, who do you think you are? Get out of here. Not even close, right? Watch what Jesus says. He says, Zacchaeus, come down immediately. I must stay at your house today. Wow. I'm going to explain to you in a minute how crazy that is. So Zacchaeus came down at once and welcomed him gladly. Now, pay attention to this moment right here. All the people saw this and began to mutter, he has gone to be the guest of a sinner. Why did they say that? What does that mean he's like a sinner? It means that he's someone who lives an irreligious life. It wasn't meant to be a put down like, oh, you're stupid, you're an idiot. It was meant, the word sinner was to describe people who, like today we might say, you're irreligious. I'm not a very religious person. That's what a sinner was. Someone who, like, I'm not into God, okay? And Zacchaeus was a tax collector. Let me explain what a tax collector was. A tax collector, they were Jews who collected taxes on behalf of the Roman government. The Roman government were the oppressors. They ruled over Israel and over the Jews, and they were oppressive and they were difficult to deal with, right? Can you even imagine, as an American, like, having another nation rule over you and imposing taxes and having their soldiers march around your town? A lot of people in this world are having that experience today. But it's hard to imagine that in our country. For these guys, it was an everyday life. The worst than a Roman soldier was a fellow Jew who had turned to their side and was working for them. The only thing worse than a villain is their little minions, right? Unless it's Despicable Me, those guys are cool. Except for those guys, minions are the worst. And that's what this tax collector was. Tax collectors amassed personal wealth by demanding tax payments in excess of what Rome wanted, and they would keep the excess for themselves. So they made themselves rich at other people's expenses. They're criminals. Okay? Can you imagine watching your parents starve while this guy taxed your family and took your money? This is that guy. So, you can understand why people are like, what? Who's this guy? Why would Jesus even hang out with that guy? It's like the Pope hanging out with the head of the mafia. What? What is he doing, man? It's like, I don't know what it's like. Well, let's just keep going. Zacchaeus stood up and said to the Lord, look, Lord, here and now I give half of my possessions to the poor, and if I have cheated anybody out of anything, I will pay back 4 times the amount. And Jesus said to him, today salvation has come to this house, because this man too is the son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost. Wow. Let me pray for us real quick. God, for a lot of us in this room, just even right now,